Okay, hi everyone. This is ACDC, Araceli and Colette, the Dynamic Change, all things real estate investing and finances. Colette and I are both real estate investors, and we have a different background, and that's why we come together to answer some questions for you. So my name is Araceli, Transition Wealth Advisor, and I love helping single professional women rearrange their finances so they can make better decisions about their debt and retiring faster. So Colette, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how we can do the Facebook Live together. So maybe we'll do that another time. But anyway, hi, everybody. My name is Colette Rabba. I'm a real estate broker in the GTA, Mississauga. Actually, it took go all the way to Hamilton. I go north to Brampton and oh my gosh, everywhere. So all the way, anywhere on the west end of Toronto, that's my area. Araceli and I are here to talk about all things real estate and finance, as she said. And we are here to help you answer all your questions because we know real estate is confusing, finances can be daunting, and we just want to give you a breath of fresh air to know that it's not all bad.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, even though we're going through COVID and some people are really nervous about their finances and financial situations and real estate, and we're here to help you alleviate those fears. So what's today's subject?
Today's subject, we're going to talk about something that it's not very much talked about, which is wealth and health. So as you can see, those two things seem to be unrelated. And I tell you one thing, my dad always said, oh, I'd rather be healthy than have money. And I'm not so sure about that because both of them are very much related. So we're just here to talk about some of that because people, sometimes they don't put the two and two together, but they are very much related. So Colette, so you had some questions, I guess?
Well, I have, you know what, I really want to talk about it because it seems like, I'm sorry, I just have a little frog in my throat. I'm not sick. I just swallowed some water the wrong way. When I hear people talk about, especially COVID, but when I hear people talk about finances in general, some people, especially when they're going through transition like a separation, or they're starting a new marriage, or they have a child, or this is their first child that they're having, or even people who are moving out for the first time from their parents' homes. This is what we talk about, when we go through transition in life. And a lot of people go through different transitions in different times of their lives, obviously. Same thing with, retiring and not having a regular income that you're used to. So when people talk about transition, there's a lot of fear behind it. And I think the problem with fear is you fear it because you don't know what's going on. So that's why I love to talk to Araceli, because really when you break it down into bite-sized pieces, when you really think about, you pull the Band-Aid off to really have someone help you discover what's going on with your finances, the anxiety goes away. The debilitating feelings of the hopelessness, all these negative words come up when you're so in your fear that we never want you to feel that way. Same thing with buying a house, for example, or even selling a house. Will I get as much money as I think I'm going to? Where is this money going to go to? How much is it going to cost me? So all these things, like when Araceli and I talk, we get jazzed because we really think, oh my gosh, why are people so afraid? They shouldn't be afraid. And to really explore that, because it becomes freeing and liberating when you know your finances, how much you need to cover your nut, how much you need to retire healthy, in a healthy way. So when we talk about health and wealth, it's always a combined thing, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, let me just show you this slide. I really like this picture because it just gives you, sorry, that's this one here. You see how it has health and wealth. Most of the word is actually combined, and there is a reason for it. So both of them are very much related. We live in a society in which we need money. That's the currency that we use in order to buy things, whether it is to pay for your rent, to pay for your mortgage, to pay for your food. All decisions that we make are dependent on the amount of money that you get into the home to decide if you're going to buy maybe organic food versus regular food. What kind of TV are you going to buy, or what kind of car are you going to drive, and where your kids are going to go to school.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what happens to these two things? So health and wealth, they seem so far apart, right? But they're really not. And one thing that they both are kind of share is this: who is not stressed right now? Especially today with COVID, even if you haven't been infected or affected, we have been on a secondary recipients of something like, maybe now you're working from home. Now you're dealing with the kids being at home, that it creates a different type of stress, even though it's not a bad stress, but it's still a stress because you have to get your work done and then your kids are there, and to balance the two of them, it just becomes a little daunting. The
Yeah.
same if you have lost your job, of course you are stressed out. Maybe you had a job that paid $90,000 and now the only thing that you can get is $60,000. It's a huge difference, but it's better than not having a job, in my opinion. And so there's many things that are going on anytime that we go to a transition. And I think this is the biggest transition that everybody's going through in one way or another, whether, you have someone that is affected by the virus and that you have to take care of them, or you've been affected by your work. If you're self-employed, maybe your sales have gone down. There's so many layers, even social layers. Now, we're not even able to go and visit our family, our friends, go out for a party. All of those things affect, because as humans, we are social beings. So this stress, it actually makes one thing, and that is affects your body's capacity to do and make rational decisions.
Yes, that's true. I
So
think the other
that,
thing, sorry, the other
yeah.
thing too about health is, we talk about health. It's not just about, oh, I work out and I eat right.
Mhm.
It's also mental health, and it's also the health around us. And when people say that they are very, they feel the world suffering. And this is the hardest part about being in a pandemic, that I find, personally speaking too, that it elevates all of the stress for everything else. So even if you have, some people are, I don't like to say the word depressed, but this is the same effect as depression. And to really, if I can say one message out there, that this too shall pass. This is something that I repeat to the people that are around me that do call me. Of course, we all get those phone calls from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm fearful, or I'm worried, or I'm going through some stress." And we all have to remember that this is all temporary. We don't know how temporary. We hope that it's going to be over soon, but we have to really think about how the world is going to change around us and adapt to it. So this goes not just with our physical health, but in our mental health, but also with our finances. So, if you're lucky enough to have savings that you can have as a backup during this time, if your income is different, that's one thing. But lean on the people that are your support group. This is something that as well as I do. The people around us make such a huge difference in our lives, even if we can't see each other physically. But this is great. I look
Absolutely.
forward to it every week. Some days it's not easy to come online and do this, but I know Araceli and I are, we're in this together. And really, like, this is, a public service announcement, if I can say it that way, that, whatever the stress that you're going through now, it will pass. Lean on the people that are around you. Ask us questions, bring us your issues. The fear is in the not knowing.
Yeah.
especially with the numbers that if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know the root problem of your financial woes, you must talk to Araceli and she will help you with it.
Yeah.
So even though it's hard to worry about everybody else, worry about yourself, but lean on the people around you and including us that we can help you with issues.
So one of the things that I've seen many times is that when people are stressed out, they make irrational decisions. And that means that, maybe you want to go on a shopping spree.
Right.
You don't, you forget to pay your bill sometime, which actually will affect your credit. There's so many things that happen, and you don't do it rationally, obviously, but when you're more calm, and it's easier said than done, but stress affects us in many, many ways. And of course, eventually, if the body is so stressed out that you eventually will probably have some kind of health issue.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stresses that we go through is because of finances. And the major thing is obviously sources of income, also how to distribute the money within the household. If you have lost or reduced income, of course, that is going to affect. If you have to move, sometimes you do have to move, and now your expenses have increased. Mm-hmm. Also, there is a source of stress. So all of these things, when they come to you at the same time, they are very overwhelming. And so one of the things that I help people with is just give them a different perspective, because I am not emotionally involved, but I am there with you to help you see it from a different perspective and help you organize yourself. And that alone releases so much stress, at least to know, oh my God, I'm a little short, but maybe we can reduce this other expense and it can balance out. But if you don't know and continue to do what you're doing, then that is going to create more stress, and therefore your health, your wealth, everything will be affected in the long run. So exactly. To me, the advice that I'm going to give you for what I've seen with so many clients is that when you're going to make a financial decision, if you don't know, if you feel kind of stuck, look at your long-term goals versus your short-term goals. So if this is a short-term decision, how does it fit into your long-term plans? And if you can balance that out and say, you know what, I can hold off and maybe I can get this at a later time when I go back to work or when I have a little bit more income, it's something that I'm not going to need right away. That is the best advice that I can give you. If you can sit down and just change your perspective about how this decision will affect your long-term plans. So that is the very best advice. It's just a balance, right? The long-term versus the short-term.
Well, and people right now feel unbalanced. Like this is what we're trying to say. Like, when it comes to like we crave balance and we crave a normalcy, or we crave like what we're used to. And you know what, the one thing I have to say about a lot of people I know, they do not like change. Somebody like me, I sit down and go, okay, I can't change anything beyond how I'm going to react. So what are we going to do here? So I might have to find a plan B or plan C or whatever it is, regardless of what the situation is. If it's something that you feel like you're stagnant, or you feel like you're stuck in doing only this one thing, like I need to sell my house, let's say, for example, you don't. And I know I'm a real estate agent and I really should tell you, yeah, of course you should sell your house. But in my heart, I'm a human being. I can't say that. If there's another way that you can keep your house because, you've built this house, you've built, memories in the house, and it's really something that you really don't want to move, believe it or not, I can help you with that. And I can give you other suggestions to what can you do. Maybe you can rent the basement. Maybe you can rent the top floor and you move into the basement if you're really financially stuck. There are other things you can do beyond that too. I'm not going to go into it because it's not specifically what we're talking about. But if you ever have a question about something that you're like your finances, we're actually here to talk about finances. If you think this is the only way I can do it, I'll give you an example. If you think, okay, I have a mortgage on my house. Again, sorry, I talk about houses, but let's say I have a mortgage on my house and I have to pay this much money and I'm going through separation and this is the nut I have to cover. Guess what? You can get your house reevaluated. You can talk to a mortgage broker. They can tell you what your options are. If if that things change very rapidly with mortgages and the rates. So even though I bought, my second property 2 years ago, if I go and talk to a mortgage broker now, I'll have a penalty, but I might save 2% on my mortgage, which is huge. So it outweighs it. So there's always these things that you can talk to your professionals like us. If we can help you, if it is something like a mortgage or something else, you can talk to a lawyer, you can talk to a mortgage broker. There are people out there that will give you free information. Don't rely on the internet. It's not great. Sometimes the information is incorrect too. Yeah. So everything is a very personal thing. We get that. Sometimes you don't want to share financial information with people that you're not so sure about. So this is something that we will help you alleviate that fear. It's the not knowing that is the scariest part. Once you know, like this is, we talk about this, like you have to rip the Band-Aid off. You have to see how bad that wound is underneath. If you don't, you could be in big trouble. Like that's the analogy where, you rip the Band-Aid off and you might be totally healed. It might be a good thing.
Yeah.
To see what's going on under there. Your finances are the same way.
Absolutely. You know what? About probably 90% of the population run away from looking at it. And the reason is because it's daunting. Yeah. It's some technical, you have to go into details. And some people, they just rather not look at it. I had a client that I'm actually working with right now. And she said to me, I run away from you. And says, oh, really? No. And it says, it's not from you. It's just because I knew I was in such a mess that I didn't really want to talk to you.
Right.
Because people have these fears that I'm going to come and judge them. And you know what? I think like a doctor, like you have seen so many of them that I don't say I don't feel anything. Simply, I just go and try to look for a solution that help you the fastest. So that's how I feel. I feel that people feel that judgment because they feel, oh, I should be better. But because of the transitions in life, I've gone through so many transitions and got out of it, but it takes time. Every time that you go through a transition and your finances get affected, then you have to go through a transition of adapting to the new finances, to the new house, to the new everything that you have, and now create a new budget, right? So if you do not have a budget, I really recommend that you do one as soon as possible. I'll be able to help you if that's what you need. But everything starts from there.
Right. Well, now that's the other thing too. Instead of fearing it and saying, okay, well, I just don't want to deal with it. A lot of people have numbers. They fear the numbers and they don't know. But when you know that you've come this far, like this is the funny thing too. You've come this far. You're in a world where things are not going to change to any degree in as far as I know right now. There's a lot of help out there for COVID. I was on Enbridge today, and the first thing that pops up is if you have trouble paying your bill, there is a way. So there's always a way, and we want to be the positive light in your life.
Of course.
Don't fear anything. We're just here to give you the facts, and to help you out and figure out how things can get better. And Araceli, there's lots of ideas. And if she can't help you, always get a second opinion too.
That's right.
If somebody says, oh, I have a real estate agent already, I have somebody that has already given me an evaluation on my house, I go, okay, great. I'm a second opinion. If you ever need me, I'm here. So that's something else too. If you don't like the answer from the doctor, when you were saying about that, that's popped into my head. When you talk about, you talk to a doctor and you don't like the prognosis from that doctor, what do?
Yeah, you go to somebody else.
Right. You get a second, the third, fourth, fifth opinion. until, because maybe health is, when you go to a doctor, it's a little bit different. But when you look at your finances, there are other ways to slice the apple.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't be afraid to talk to people, and you don't have to give
Absolutely.
personal information, and don't give personal information if you're not going to, go ahead and work with them. You don't have to give your social insurance number. Really do your research on who you're talking to, of course, beforehand.
Absolutely.
That they're a legitimate business.
Yeah. So remember, health is wealth and wealth is health. We need a balance between the two, because, without health, obviously we cannot do something that we like to do. But without wealth, you cannot afford to pay for that activity. So the two of them are related, and they have to be balanced with each other. But the main thing that I wanted to tell you about finances is that they create a huge stress in our lives. And what you want to do is you want to have the knowledge to tackle that stress.
Yeah.
And if you remove that little stress, then your health will improve, your finances will improve, everything will improve. So it's just about looking for the sources of stress and removing them.
Yes.
Help yourself with that.
Identify that problem, identify what you need to do first. Araceli is great when it comes to, identifying the sources of what's going on and really putting it into an understandable form that, okay, this is what I can understand. How do I understand it? How do I keep track of my finances? What do I need to do to move forward in my life? And also, the future, like we're talking about, how it's COVID. How are we saving for our future these days? Okay, fine. You might have to put things on pause a little bit until things get change or get better in the world. But everybody's circumstances are different, and don't compare yourself to anyone. That's the other thing too. I hear it all the time. Oh, I should be here at this age, or I should have saved this much more at my age. Even if there's somebody, in their 20s or 30s, they think that they have to have this big savings. Hey, everybody's different.
Yeah. And the economy, the circumstances, everything's changing. But one thing that you can control is your attitude, and also the knowledge that you have about yourself, what your cost of living is, and where are your sources of income, and how you can distribute them. So those are the things that you can control. And especially in this time, if you are working from home or have a little bit of extra time because you're not going out as much, take the time to just pause and reevaluate what's important for you financially and otherwise, right? Like your exercise, your social interactions with people, the activities that you were doing. Just sit down and evaluate what is it that it's important to you, and you'll see that the answers are completely different. I'm telling you, I've been doing this exercise in the last few weeks, and
it's
just amazing
the things
that change. Yeah,
right. This is the best time to do it.
Take the opportunity now that we have a little bit more time to sit down with ourselves and find out more about what you want to do when we get out of this, and pursue maybe a different career or other interests that you weren't able to do. So it's a perfect time. So to me, I always look at the positive of everything. So this opportunity we might not get again.
Right.
So take advantage of it.
I have so many sayings. Do what you love. Don't be scared. Be prepared.
Exactly. And also get together with an advisor like myself. Now you have more time to go over it, your finances, to prepare a budget. You're a little bit more relaxed. So this is the perfect time to do it.
It's crappy outside. Call Araceli.
That's right.
Finances now. And then by the summer, you'll feel much better. We can go outside and things will hopefully get better with COVID too, that we'll all be able to socialize in the summer. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's why I have this great background.
Oh, it's fantastic. Okay. I was just going to tell you. Wow.
Summer. Thank you. So I hope that's going to be something that we can all enjoy together. That's my wish, is that we can all get together.
I know, for sure. We are social beings. I'm really craving to be going out and talk to more people live, right? Yeah. But this is a great way for us to get together and just talk to you, and at least we get out of it.
when we talk about supporting our local businesses too, like we are local, we are in Mississauga, we are in the GTA. This is something that even though we don't have a storefront, we are local people, and we need to feed our families and pay our mortgages too. So this is something that we wanted to, continue on doing for you, to give you this great advice and to tell you that we're here for you. So if you ever need anything,
Absolutely.
We're a phone call away.
So
or
remember,
text.
yeah, just remember, your health is your wealth and your wealth is your health. Remove the stresses in life as much as you can from all the sources so you can get better in your health and in your wealth. So with that alone, we would like to thank you for being here. Please send in your questions. Your questions are always great, and it gives us some material for us to talk to you more about what you want to know. So until next week, have a great week, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Araceli.
Bye.
Bye.